Have you ever tried to record your dirt bike ride, but then the footage turns out looking like this? Today, I'm going to talk about a couple different camera mounting options, reveal which one works best for each situation and budget, and in the end, I'm going to share my biggest secret for crystal clear riding footage that YouTube doesn't want you to know about. But before we get into all that, I'm trying to reach 5,000 subs. It's free and it really helps me out. So hit that button below and join the MOTO crew today. Thanks for all your support. Now back to the video. So when you think of recording your dirt bike footage, you're probably thinking of just the regular action camera. And that's a great place to start. GoPro makes them, DJI makes the Action, Insta360 makes the Ace Pro, I believe. Really, a bunch of brands make them, but just make sure it has in-camera stabilization. Because if it's not stabilized footage, it's going to look really wonky. Just look at really old GoPro footage from like 10 years ago and you'll see what I'm talking about compared to GoPro footage now. Whatever camera you get, just make sure that it has in-camera stabilization. Now, the regular action camera, like the GoPro, I have the GoPro Hero 9, or the DJI or the Insta360, those are going to be your most affordable option and also the most straightforward. Now, like I said, as long as it has stabilization, you can pretty much go back multiple years. They haven't made a ton of advancements within the last maybe 4 years or so, and they all have pretty good stabilization. I believe the GoPro Hero 9, the one that I have, is probably at least 4 years old at this point, and it works great. Now, I'm gonna link a few of the most popular action cameras in the description below. Those are affiliate links. They're no extra cost to you, but it does help me out by giving me a little bit of a commission if you end up buying something. So if you're planning on making a purchase, feel free to use the links in the description below. Now, when you're mounting up your GoPro, the most classic mount is going to be the standard top of the helmet mount. You put the little sticky GoPro mount on the top of the helmet, and it's basically like the default mount that everyone knows about. But you should not use that mount. It kind of sucks for a couple of reasons. One, since it's sitting on the top of your helmet, it catches the front of the visor in your helmet and it looks a little wonky. Another reason is it's sitting higher than your eyes actually are, so when you're looking down on the trail or the track from that point of view, it's just gonna look like you're really super tall, like you're an alien or something. Another reason that I don't really like it is because it's hard to see where the camera is pointing. You could be going on a trail and then the camera on top of your head could like snag the branch of a tree and it could get kicked where it's pointing straight up at the sky and you don't even realize it because it's on top of your head and you can't see where it's at. So there's really no way of you to tell while you're riding whether the camera is recording or whether it's pointed in the right direction. So those are major downsides to mounting on the top of the head, and I would not recommend it. What I would recommend doing instead is mounting using a chin mount. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do a chin mount. There is a DIY method where you take a regular GoPro sticky mount and you finagle it in a way to get it to mount right in the front of your chin on your helmet piece. That sometimes requires drilling into the front of the helmet or doing some things that might kind of take away from the integrity of your helmet. So I wouldn't really recommend doing that if you can get away with purchasing a standalone mount. Now, there's a company called Chin Mounts that makes mounts, but my favorite option is the Dango Designs chin mount for the GoPro. And it's basically like a clamp style, and there's a couple of reasons why I really like it. Also, I'll have a link for that in the description below. You can check it out as well. But the chin mount that I use, the Dango Designs clamp style, is really awesome because it's a really strong clamp. It mounts onto any helmet right on the front, right in front of your mouth. And say you and your friends are riding and you're gonna do a big hill climb. So you have the GoPro on, you hit the hill climb, and then you walk down to the bottom of the hill climb and your friend's gonna hit it. And so you just take your GoPro off of your helmet real quick, put it on your friend's helmet, and then you get their point of view. The other cool thing is, say you don't want to get your friend's point of view, but you just want to film your friend. Well, you take the GoPro off of your chin And just holding the mount, you can get really close to the other rider and get some super cool third-person perspective footage with your GoPro, the same as what you were getting the point of view. And you don't have to slide it out of a mount or anything. It's super quick to just clip on and off because it's a clamp style mount. I've never had any issues with my clamp falling off or anything like that. It doesn't move around a lot. It's super solid. The only thing is you have to add, you don't have to, but if you add a little adapter piece, I also have it linked in the description below, you need to put one of those in between the mounting point and the mount on the clamp and the mounting point on your GoPro. And what that allows you to do is actually angle the camera up even further than you normally would be able to. That's one of the big problems with any of the regular GoPro mounts is the angle of the tilt, because a lot of times it's not going to be tilted high enough up and you're just going to be seeing the ground and the fender, and that is no good whenever you're filming with a GoPro. You don't want to be looking straight at the ground. The footage is basically unwatchable. It's not enjoyable to watch at all. You can't see the trail ahead of you. So you want to try to get that tilted as high up as you can. Basically, when I'm riding, I want to just be able to see the tip of my front fender. And that usually gives me a pretty good angle, because then sometimes I look down and it catches a little more of my bike. Other times I look up and I can see the trail ahead of me. So usually another way to measure it is if you have your goggles on your helmet and you have your helmet off and you're looking at your camera mounted, you kind of want the lens of the camera to be a slightly higher angle than the angle of your goggle lens. So you kind of make it parallel to the goggle lens, and then you just tilt it slightly higher than that. And that's usually a pretty good angle for running the GoPro on the chin mount. Now, the regular action camera, like the GoPro, is a really great option, but it does come with some downsides. So if you only plan to post on either YouTube, so horizontally, or on other socials like Instagram or TikTok vertically, it's fine. You can actually get a vertical adapter that changes the GoPro from being mounted horizontally on your helmet to vertically. And the vertical mount actually works really good for Instagram videos. You can either buy a vertical mount, which I'll have linked in the description below, or you can 3D print one. My friend actually 3D printed one for me and it worked really good. So that's an option if you want to just run the GoPro, but you only post on Instagram or TikTok, you don't mess around with YouTube at all. That's a really good option. The bad part about just running the regular action camera is you can't zoom the field of view out. You have to get the angle right from the beginning, and you cannot change that angle or the field of view in post. So for example, I used to shoot with the horizontal GoPro on my chin mount. Great point of view, but for YouTube, it's awesome. It's perfect. It gets great shots. But if I want to cut my footage up and post it on Instagram, I can't get a really good crop. So what I would like to be able to do is zoom my field of view out so I can see more of the bike. But my only option to do that, to be able to see more of the bike or higher in the sky as well, is to mount the camera vertically. But if I mount vertically, then I can't post on YouTube. So you have to pick one or the other. You can't change it in post. Another downside to running the normal action camera is if you're racing, AMA has made a no helmet camera rule. So basically you cannot run a camera anywhere on your helmet. Doesn't matter if it's on the chin or the top of your helmet. So that makes it so you have to run a chest mount. And if you've ever seen chest mount GoPro footage, it is god awful. So do not run a regular GoPro on a chest mount. It's horrible. So I actually plan on doing something completely different, and I got a different camera for this season. Because I'm planning on doing AMA races, I can't run the chin mount, so I had to think of a different option. And I've used it a couple times, and I really think that this is, if you can spend the extra money, your best option. This is the best setup when it comes to recording dirt bike footage. Now, if you want to learn more about what races I plan on doing this season and kind of learn a little bit more about my racing history and that sort of thing, check out the video linked in the top right and down in the description below. You'll kind of get to see what awesome races I'm planning on doing this year. And at those awesome and exciting races, I am going to be using a 360 camera. So I can only speak for the Insta360 X4. There are many other 360 cameras. I'm gonna put the link to the X4 in the description below as well. They're a little more pricey than the regular action camera, but a 360 camera compared to a regular action camera is going to be way, way more versatile, extremely versatile compared to a regular action camera. Now, I tried the Insta360 X4 chin mounted, and it's okay, but to be honest with you, it's a little wonky compared to just the regular action camera on the chin mount. I didn't really like it that much. The best way to mount the 360 camera is going to be on the chest. And the awesome thing about the chest mounted 360 camera is it's low enough that you can see, if you zoom the field of view out in post, you can see basically the entire bike if you want to. But if you don't want to, you can actually zoom it in to where it's basically the same field of view as a regular action camera. But the great thing about the 360 camera is it solves the major problem with a chest mounted GoPro, which is you can change the tilt and pan in post. You can also change the field of view, but the main thing is when you're riding with a regular GoPro, a regular action camera on the chest, when you stand up, the camera's pointed straight down at the bike and you can't see the track. When you sit down, the camera's like basically really low and all you can see is the front of the handlebars and like a little bit of the track pointed out. So there's never really a perfect angle, and it also really gets kind of motion sick whenever you're watching it. So the great thing about the 360 camera is, at least the Insta360 X4, in the editing software you can go in and you can do what's called dynamic lock. Basically it will analyze the footage and pretty much lock the tilt to the horizon. Whenever I stand up, it'll pan up a little. When I sit down, it'll kind of pan down a little bit. And that makes it so the footage is super smooth on the chest mount. And because you can change the field of view to go out a little bit, you can also see a lot of the bike and a lot of the trail or track in front of you. Plus, since it's chest mounted, it's AMA legal, so you can run it at any of your AMA sanctioned races that you plan on doing. The downsides with the 360 camera is you do have to actually edit a little bit in post compared to regular GoPro footage. With the regular GoPro, you just pop the SD card out, put it in your computer, you can download the footage and you can upload it straight from the camera, or put it into your editing software straight from the camera. Or you can put it straight on your phone, you don't have to do anything, you can just watch it back. With the 360 camera, you have to put it into some sort of editing software. Insta360 has a really user-friendly and straightforward app and editing software on the computer, so it's not really that big of a deal, but it does add an extra step. So you have to make sure that it's pointed in the right direction in post, and you can add keyframes as well if it gets a little wonky, because it's not perfect. So sometimes it'll point in a direction that you don't really want it to. So you can add keyframes and make sure that the camera's pointed in the way that you want it the entire video. Once you've done all that, once you've picked what camera you're gonna use, you went out, you filmed your ride, you got it back, this is probably gonna happen to you if you're uploading to YouTube. You're gonna end up exporting the file and you're gonna upload it to YouTube, and you probably shot in 1080p. You wanna save a little file size and you want it to extend your recording. And then what happens is you watch the video back and it is so crunchy and blurry. Then you go back into your GoPro footage or your 360 footage and you look at it and you're like, wait a second, this YouTube video that I uploaded is so much more blurry and grainy than the original footage. What the heck happened? Well, this happened to me quite a bit, and I was scratching my head for the longest time, but I finally figured out the answer. Basically what happens is, if you upload a YouTube video in anything less than 4K, YouTube will compress the crap out of it, and it will make it super crunchy. Even if it's HD on any other device you look at, when you upload it to YouTube, it will get compressed into oblivion. It will look horrible. So all you have to do, even if you shot in 1080p, just export your file in 4K. It doesn't really change anything other than the export, but it kind of tricks YouTube into allowing you to play the final video at the full bit rate rather than throttling it and compressing it and making it all crunchy. So even if you don't shoot in 4K, if you just shoot in 1080p, just make sure you export your footage on whatever editing software you're using, export it as 4K, and then upload it to YouTube that way. because then YouTube will allow you to play the video back in the highest quality possible. So, which camera setup do you plan on getting? Let me know in the comments below. Have fun out there. Soup out.